Hey, what's going on, Maschine Masters? My name is MGTheFuture. Thank you for joining us today. Today's video, I'm going to continue and do something in Studio One version 4 as requested. I want to give a shout out to everybody who came through and liked, watched, and commented on the previous video. I was very surprised that so many people liked it, and I was even more surprised that so many people in the comments used Studio One, because I've known about Studio One. I've used it back in 2011 or so. For beat making, I didn't find too many people that did it. I know BK Banger was using it for a while and a few others, but these comments section paint a totally different picture. Another thing that was quite interesting about the comments is everyone keeps saying there's a pattern mode, and that's what I wasn't using. I just wanted to point it out. I did put that overlay there about pattern mode, but I don't think anyone caught it. It's all love though. So today's video is going to be about the actual pattern mode, and I'm going to show you why I use that in my particular workflow, coming from FL Studio especially, where I'm used to having control over each individual sound's MIDI sequence. And pattern mode by itself is kind of like self-contained, but I discovered there's a way where you can extract it and then use individual MIDI parts. All kinds of craziness. A very similar workflow to Reason 10 if you've seen some of those videos. But before I get too far ahead of myself, I do want to point out to you guys that there is a 30% off sale in the shop until the 31st, I believe. So that's going to be the May Day sale. When you go to the shop and you put something in your cart, make sure you use the code Mayday18. So check that out. If you're in the market for some new sample packs or courses, we got you. So let's check this beat out. First things first, let me show you guys the samples. If you ever watched my Maschine Sample Master course, the chopping method I use in that course, I use on these samples, but I'm using Impact instead. So of course that's Tina Marie, and I chopped it up, and what I want to do is, with these drums that I created with the pattern sequencer, I want to split these up so I have more control over them, so I could do different drops and do different arrangement tricks. So let me play this through one time first, and then we're going to get into how to do that with Studio One. So that's the beat, something light. It's really simple. I have a few audio loops for the hi-hats and tambourines, and I have this drums coming out of Impact, which are very simple as well. And what I want to do is take these patterns that I created and split them up. Now, if you've never used this pattern track before, which is new in version 4 of Studio One, what you want to do is highlight an empty area and do Command Shift and P. It's going to give us a pattern, and once it put it there, that's all good. And it's going to be empty pattern state. And then based on whatever drums you have loaded in Impact, that's going to show up as lanes, which you're very familiar with in FL Studio. And of course you could draw in, make different patterns. You can click this little squiggly line here and do different probabilities, very similar to Reason's drum sequencer, RE. You can do hi-hat repeats, which is really cool. So I'm going to throw some triplets in real quick, some regular hi-hats, and then draw these triplets in with the pencil. And if you want more of a triplet feel, you could change this to triplets, but you might have to change your count to 24. So it makes doing triplets and a lot of crazy hi-hat patterns and rhythms really simple to do. If you've never used pattern mode before, I recommend it. And then if you want to do change-ups and stuff just like in FL Studio, you can add a new pattern. So I can select this here, hit the copy, and it'll duplicate. And let's just take the hi-hats out. And if you want to select that for your arrangement, you click this icon here and you choose which variation you want. And you see it updates live. So you can do your change-ups and things like that. So that's exactly what I did in this particular sequence. I have one drum pattern with a variation here, and then for the second part of the beat, I have a different variation here. And now I want to do is split them so I have my kick, snare, and hats individual. So to do that, what I'm gonna have to do is commit these changes. Before I do that, because I'm not sure if you can go back to pattern mode after you do this, I'll make a copy of this, and I believe you can hide it away in one of Studio One's layer. I'll keep it to the side in case I need it later, or I wanna add something else or do a different variation down the line. Now on the clips that I have in my arrangement, I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna go to Instrument Parts, and I'm gonna do Convert Pattern to a Part. And as you can see here, it gives us our piano roll now. And of course, if you click on this, we get our drum editor if you want to do further tweaks. I'm going to go through each of these and do the same exact thing. I want to see if I can select multiple at the same time and still pull it off. Convert pattern to part, boom. Now I have everything I need. Now I'm going to select all of them. I'll right click one more time. I'm going to go to Instrument Parts, and I'm going to go to explode pitches to tracks. And that does the reason thing where it separates everything one by one. So now I can go into here and solo these and go ahead and rename my tracks real quick. So once you have everything named, now I can do the drops like I really want. Say for instance, if I repeated this and I didn't want these hi-hats the whole time, I can go ahead and adjust these as needed. So where there's a drop here, I might pull these in. I might do the same for this. Let's bring this in here, select that, loop it up. Perfect, so that's a little bit more smoother. Now when it gets into this part, I want the hi-hats, but not at first. So I'm gonna drop the hi-hats there. So that all looks good. Let me pull this back as well. Let's make sure that transition's a little bit better. There we go. And now because they're individual MIDI clips, if you did want to go in and make some more changes, you can. And of course, you got the ability to see ghost channels as well, where you can hide them, or you could draw in your triplets if you want and see the tracks all at the same time, which makes pattern creation really dope, especially when you want a lot of variations and change up. The one thing that this does not do, however, is it does not create a mixer track for each of these. It's going to be self-contained within Impact until you explode all the tracks from within Impact itself. So what we'll have to do is go to our main Impact track, which is here. Let's change the color of it so we know what it's about. I'm gonna go ahead and bring Impact up, and now with each of these sounds I could bust it out to individual stereo outs or mono out. I prefer the mono outs, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this real quick. Each pad gets its own channel. The only thing that's a drawback about this is that you have to rename all these channels. I'm not a fan of doing that over and over and over again, but I will live. And now that I got everything renamed, I can go ahead and set the balance on all these. I can re-level everything. There we go. I'll focus on this section. Now, what I can do is take that even a step further. Now that I have the rough level set, and I have everything where it needs to go, I'll go ahead and duplicate this, slide it back into action like it needs to be. Now on this part, when the second part comes in, I can drop the hats on this part. Perfect. Loop that a few more times and call it a hit. Whatever. But yeah, man, it's pretty smooth, man. Like using the pattern tracks and doing what you do. And like I said, I don't believe there's a way to convert it back from instrument parts. I want to double check, make sure I don't see anything that says convert to pattern. And from what I could tell, there isn't. But that's why I have this duplicate down here, which isn't making any noise at all. So if I want to reference or use this again, I just double click on it and go ahead and go through my variations or duplicate it and create another variation if I want. So it's very useful. But anyway, I'm MGTheFuture. I thank you guys for joining us today here on the Maschine Masters channel. Like I said, the May Day sale is good until the 31st. If you have comments or questions or concerns about Studio One version 4 or this pattern mode, definitely let me know in the box below. Until next time, guys, peace.